financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is COVID ends, financial problems begin. Brian Small.
Good morning, Ken. I have a question. Is that a question and a statement, or is it a understanding, or is it a little esoteric because COVID isn't really over, but it is over?
Jeffrey Kirshner, nice to see you.
I'm not going to answer his question, whatever he had to say. Nice to see you. It's nice that finally COVID's still around. You're right, but at least we are finally opening up a little bit. But there are a lot of issues with regard to that.
Pat.
What's
Pat Samasco,
esoteric
elder law.
mean? What's esoteric mean? Not even. Let's start there. Hi, good morning, Ken. How are you?
It was a statement, Brian. I Finlandered you. I've told you that story on this show before. My contracts for professor's name was Finlander, and you'd go and you'd make this great statement, and she'd be listening to you, and in the stadium seating in the classroom, and she'd be absorbing every word you'd say, and then you'd finish, and you were ready for her to respond to what you'd say, and she'd go and point to the next person, and you'd be left sitting there thinking, oh, am I a jerk? And that went on for the whole year. And she was a great professor. Anyway, so COVID ends, financial problems begin. We see a hotbed brewing. One, coming out of foreclosure. Oh my, you wouldn't believe what I've already seen.
You mean out of forbearance?
Out of forbearance, heading to foreclosure is what really correct. Thank you for correcting me. And the landlord going to evict. Now, we had a couple things come up right off the bat this week that changed that. The CDC has extended the landlord-tenant moratorium to July 31.
But they've also said that this will be the last extension.
Okay.
Until the next extension.
And just and right after that, the Supreme Court actually honed in on the issue and upheld the CDC moratorium because that had been challenged in the lower courts.
What's the moratorium? I'm not familiar with it.
If you are a residential tenant.
We have one right now that we're in the middle of doing.
And you fill out an eviction protection declaration. And you're basically attesting to the fact that your single income is less than $99,000 a year, or if you're married filing joint, less than $198,000. And you hand it to your landlord. Anytime prior to judgment for possession being entered, you must stop, and there's a moratorium, and you cannot proceed. The important thing that people need to know is if you don't fill out the form and the landlord goes to evict you, and at the hearing you just raise your hand and say, well, what about the moratorium? The judge really can't assist you unless you fill out the form and hand it to the landlord. If you were at court and you filled out the form and you handed it to the landlord in the proceeding, then they would stop it. So the form, which you're going to see on the screen for those people that are watching, is critical to do. And that got challenged and was declared unconstitutional, and then it went up to the Supreme Court. And I can't quite remember, but Justice Roberts and Justice Kavanaugh joined with the majority and ruled that the CDC's position was sustained. Now, I thought that was a little bit surprising as far as Justice Kavanaugh. And so you take that decision and a couple of the last decisions that we've seen over the last month in the Supreme Court, and it is an indication to you that even though you're an appointee, you're there for life, and these judges are showing a level of independence that I find to be welcome. It's not that they're just doing what their appointed
Now we know why his law
representative.
professor just went to Brian at that point. Brian?
So that's so on eviction, we've kind of jumped out of the outline, which is something that Brian always does that I always frown upon, and I'm guilty of it this time myself. But we did cover that's the situation you need to know for eviction. Now on foreclosure, Brian, what did they come up with this week? There is an extension there as well.
So there's an extension under the CFPB issued final rules that are going to basically preclude foreclosures from residential homes till the end of the year with a bunch of carve-outs. So if you were more than 120 days behind on your home before March 20th of 2020, they can still foreclose. If you've already been through the process of getting a modification and then you defaulted in that, they can foreclose. If you are behind in your property taxes, that has nothing to do with being behind in your mortgage. They're going to start property tax foreclosures again.
So would that be, what if your taxes are escrowed and you're under forbearance?
So the mortgage lender, if you're under a forbearance, or even if your taxes are escrowed, most mortgage lenders are going to pay the property taxes anyway, and it's called an advance.
And then you wouldn't be behind. But what
Right.
if they didn't pay the taxes?
Then the taxing authority could foreclose.
Oh, you're saying the taxing authority.
The
can
taxing
foreclose.
authority
But the
can-
lender can't foreclose because you're behind in your
Right.
property
There's
taxes.
a number of reasons. The bottom line is that there is an extension of the moratorium till the end of the year, but a whole bunch of people don't fit into that extension. And you really, if you're behind on your mortgage payment, now is the time to come in, get an assessment of whether or not a Chapter 13 is going to help you
Because
fix
the
the problem.
payments are accumulating, the interest is
Yeah,
accumulating.
I've got a story for when we come back after
And
the
the
break.
offers to fix it aren't as good as we would like them to be.
But you truly have to show that that whatever your problems are truly have to be COVID related, as opposed to
not
having
as much. You
issues
just have to
beforehand.
apply and obtain the forbearance.
Well, the
and
forbearance
meet
is
the
you
thresholds.
do the number one threshold is you had to be impacted by COVID.
Yeah, but all you had to do is say you were.
Check the box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in terms of when you got approved for the forbearance. But the big important thing, this is only federally backed mortgages, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. If it's a private lender, that's not going to help you anyway. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll stay on this topic. COVID-19 presents a fight for our personal and business financial survival. You have to make choices. Cash is critical. Do you tap your retirement, home equity line, or run up the credit cards? You need the right plan to avoid being wiped out, and you need it now. You can't rely on the government or banks. Call us. We're the experts in financial crisis. We were here for you and your business in the Great Recession, and we're here for you now. We'll create a plan and get through this together. THAV GROSS will solve your problem.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the Medicaid nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, so we're back to the forbearance issue on mortgages. Let me give you an example of what's going on, true life example for a client that I've been dealing with this last 2 weeks. His monthly mortgage payment was $3,600 a month. His business was totally shut down by COVID, so he went into forbearance and he received a 1-year forbearance period. And SPS is his servicer. End of his 1-year forbearance period, SPS sends him a letter. Congratulations, you're approved for your repayment plan. Your monthly payment for the next 12 months is $7,200 a month.
Twice.
And that's it. And you have 30 days to accept this offer, or you can reject it. You can appeal. Our plan was to sell his house because he's older. There happens to be good equity in the house, and we want to get the house sold, but he needs time to get it prepped and everything else, and you still have the unknowns of what price is he going to get because there's a first mortgage, a second mortgage on the property. So we appealed, and we sent in the appeal saying, how could you just unilaterally make this decision? You didn't ask for any financial information. So I provided financial information, and I requested at least a 24-month forbearance. Nothing, wasn't being outrageous
that's not crazy
in anything.
amount, yeah.
And I said, and I reminded them in the appeal letter that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has mandated that you take a reasonable stance with respect to these things. So I send in that letter, and it goes in, and you fax and email it in, and I send it overnight with a receipt. And they're sending him all these letters back, kind of ignoring my power of attorney, and then finally and then I'm sending more letters in saying we've sent in an application trying to cover things on the 30 days. Finally, they then acknowledge receipt of the letter, we'll be getting back to you shortly. And then they send out another letter saying, your request is denied, and seem as though you didn't accept the proposal within the 30 days. It's off the table, and that's it. And you can call your mortgage assigned account representative to discuss the matter. Call.
That's it.
You get voicemail, leave a message. Email, leave a message. Nothing. No replies. Nothing. So, now, is he subject to... They haven't even accelerated the balance on the mortgage, which has to happen before they can start a foreclosure. Is he subject to foreclosure?
That's an interesting question, and I actually believe he will be subject to foreclosure because...
After the first of the year, though.
No. He qualified for a modification. They gave him the offer. When you read the rules, it's unilateral on the side of the lender. It's not subjective or with regard to the borrower. If they give you something and you don't take it, they can foreclose. If you can't meet it, Even though you take it, they can foreclose.
See, they can, in theory, they can send you a letter saying you got 6 months to pay up your arrearage.
That's what it is. They took the 12 months payments that you didn't pay and put it, you got to pay it the next 12 months.
Let's define a forbearance, okay? A forbearance is just, hi, you don't have to pay me today. But at the end of this time period, when the forbearance is over, you owe me all the money immediately. That's what the documents and that's what the forbearance program actually says. Then the CFPB is saying, the lender, you have to make a reasonable arrangement instead of making it due immediately. Well, there's no definition in anything that came out of the CFPB
Of reasonable.
of what reasonable is.
Nor is there a remedy for being unreasonable.
Right.
Well, that's the question.
no, I disagree. There absolutely is a remedy.
Shocking.
Yeah, of course.
Your
it's-
A
congressman.
court proceeding, Chapter 13 bankruptcy.
Well, you
Well,
don't
back
need,
up-
but you don't need that. You have that remedy anyway.
Wait, back up one step. If they go to foreclosure, then it's a sheriff's sale. There isn't a judge that's there that
Correct.
can.
You have to.
It's
to
a
stop
regular.
a foreclosure, you can file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, and that's you file the papers, you give notice to the sheriff, and it stops it. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you've got to go into circuit court and you've got to get a temporary restraining order issued before the sale. Otherwise, that
That's
sale
harder,
happens.
yeah.
But the reality is that temporary restraining order, to do that is extremely expensive.
It's no remedy.
Right.
It's
They don't have discretion
A
anyway.
client comes to me and wants me to do that. That's a $5,000 expense to go through that process because
ask.
it's so intense.
Just to ask.
It's time intensive.
Versus when the lender says you have 1 year to repay all of this, and even if you took it and there's no way most people can't come up with double their
All right,
mortgage
so
payment.
so my guy's remedy. Let's talk about it. My guy's remedy in that scenario was pay up, call and see if we can at least get the 12-month plan, but they won't answer the phone and they won't respond to emails. Or if they do foreclose, before it gets to sale, what must happen?
We have to file that Chapter 13, and at least it gives him up to 5 years to catch up. It doesn't ask the lender, it forces the lender to accept a 5-year repayment program.
In our case, because we know that we have the house ready for market for sale, and the market for sale on properties
It's
is hot
strong.
right now.
Yeah.
So he actually pulled out money out of retirement, caught up the mortgage. Seeing that he's passed, you can pull it out without penalty, and the game plan is hopefully to close the sale within a time. And he took it as a loan against his 401k, so he can pay it back into the 401k once we close, so he doesn't have to pick up the tax on it.
Unfortunately, that option doesn't exist for most people.
Right, yeah. And most people
Chapter
don't have
13
that
does.
reserve. Yeah. So it's a tough, it's a nasty situation, and in a lot of respects, it's worse than the financial crisis, and we'll explain why after the break.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Will I outlive my money?
Medicaid is so confusing.
A will, or do I need a trust?
What if mom needs to go in a nursing home?
At Samasco Law, we have the answers to all of these questions. Our attorneys will eliminate the confusion and develop a plan that's right for you. We are dedicated to veterans benefits, assisted living, and nursing home care. Samasco Law can help prepare you for a long future. Call Samasco Law today.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. So I remind our viewers to listen to us for Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, Tuesdays 10 o'clock a.m., Saturdays 7 a.m., and on KISS 105.9, Sundays 7 o'clock a.m. Seminars are back. Post-COVID live seminar. Our next one is coming up Wednesday, August 18th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. at our offices, addressing financial issues post-COVID. How to address debt so that you preserve your income for your future. You don't allow your future income to go to pay your debts of the past. Current status on loan forbearance and tenant evictions will be covered. Special segment on tax debt. Learn your available solutions to solving debt problems outside of bankruptcy, as well as your solutions using bankruptcy. Attendees get a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Be sure and sign up, thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call us the old-fashioned way, 888-235-HELP. If you ever want to come in for a free consultation, and we still do them via teleconference or in office, post-COVID, pre-COVID, we'll do it any way you want to do it. The important thing is that you get the information you need. Debt issues with Brian, tax issues with Jeff Linden, estate planning issues with Brian and myself, business law issues with me, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeff, criminal law issues with Scott Weinberg. Just call us at 888-235-HELP or go on the website and sign up for a free consultation. Also, go to the website for free reports. You got Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by myself and Jeff Linden, How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit, and The Retiree's Guide to Social Security from Pat Samasco. Want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Samasco Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem. All right, so we're back. So why is this worse than the financial crisis? Because in the financial crisis, at least the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau put together a set of rules that were specific that the lender had to abide by. We knew what the parameters were in order to be eligible for a home affordable modification back then. And if they didn't grant the modification, we had an appeal process and the threat of Consumer Financial Protection Bureau assistance that would back the lender off. Right now, the lender's not going to be bound by any parameters.
But the weird thing is, the very first segment is tenants. You don't have to pay your rent. You can ask for the forbearance because the tenant's not paying the rent. Your landlord or owner of the property can't pay his mortgage payment, and it just keeps going up the food chain.
At least if that's residential property, that landlord has the ability to get the forbearance as well. But then he has the same problems on the forbearance that I'm giving you with my client's example.
But that's the problem with regard to these landlords. I know we're focusing on the individuals, but the landlords now aren't collecting their rent. They're not. So there's a problem on that aspect of it, on the ownership aspect.
There are programs out there.
Because I'm representing the landlords and the individuals. Same problem when you're facing foreclosure.
And that restaurant owner can't find an employee to work. Yeah. And the employee's not working because he's getting free money at home, and it just this.
Fortunately, that's coming to an end. Now in Michigan, they re-implemented that you have to show that you're looking for work. There was I read in the Wall Street Journal this week, the states that have cut benefits have had a much quicker increase in pay in employment. So that has been a factor.
I just got to say one thing. TikTok is the greatest thing ever. There's a picture of a guy saying, please, I need work, I need work, I need work. And the guy walks up and look over his shoulder. There's a help wanted sign right there, buddy.
Right.
Oh,
he's going like this.
No.
I need work, I need work.
But unemployment is coming due, and there's going to be a big problem now with regard to unemployment too, because everyone's getting letters now from the unemployment agency about getting that COVID relief and now having to pay back money because they're now claiming that they were fraudulent when they asked for unemployment benefits to begin with. A lot of those letters are coming out.
Yeah,
that's another issue.
There'll be a lot of issue. And the bad thing is if you get a fraud letter from the UIA, the penalty provisions in that system are outrageous. Like 4 times, like
I saw one where it said
times.
the amount plus another half.
Yeah, it's 1.5.
It could be worse.
It's 1.5 times whatever you received if they make the assessment that you weren't entitled to it and you repay it. When you go further on down the road, it used to be up to 4 times the amount.
I've defended that before. I mean, it's going to be a whole other issue. And another comment on what you said with forbearance. I have a business client who is being sued by the bank, and for $1 million SBA loan, he had several restaurants. Okay, so he's been behind because his restaurants were shut down, and during COVID, he came to the table with $250,000. Not when I was representing him, to catch up, and signed a forbearance agreement. Now you never give the lender that much money signing a forbearance agreement, because the lender forbearance agreement says exactly what Brian was saying. It says, we'll hold off for 6 months, for a year, and then in a commercial context, providing you give us financial statements, you give us all this reporting and everything else, and if you miss a payment, you owe us all the money, and at the end of your forbearance period, you owe us all the money. So he missed a payment after giving him $250,000. They're suing him, and our defenses, force majeure, impossibility of performance, but they're filing a motion for summary. And what are our chances of prevailing with the judge on that issue? Probably slim and none. And what is the bank arguing? The bank's arguing, we gave you a forbearance agreement, and in the forbearance agreement you acknowledged that you waived all your defenses. So I said to the bank's attorney, who I get along with well and I like him, I said, that statement is in every forbearance agreement that's ever been written since the beginning of time. I said, if that's true, then force majeure and impossibility of performance is never a remedy anyway. And
the bottom line
you're
saying, though, you're just kicking they still owe the money back
that's
year or a year and a half.
And that's the
It's not like you're
problem for the
not
judge.
paying
The
it.
judge has to rewrite the whole contract.
We're running out of time, but the bottom line is that if you are facing any of these circumstances, whether it's business or personal, recognize that bankruptcy, Chapter 11, Chapter 13, can level the playing field and put you back in business and keep you in your property.
Which means you should call Brian, call me, and we can come in and we can analyze it, and we can figure it out, and we can help you. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.